What's good, YouTube? It's Snappy. I've been gone for a minute, I know, but we're back. Like, share, subscribe, right? We're gonna be doing a little short guide on Testament. It's a beginner's guide, but hey, I love this character right here. This character is fun to me no matter what people say. Again, like, share, subscribe, and if you could, if you like the video, if you like the guide, twitch.tv/nappyheadmillie, come support the boy over there. We have fun, we joke, we rage, and we just grind. We just all try to get better. But enough of the talk. Let's get to the action. All right. Before we get into the normal, special, all that, I want to give everybody the pros and cons of the character because I want anyone watching this video to go in there knowing what they're going to get themselves into. So, pros. Very good range. This character has very solid range. Their projectile game is very solid. They have essentially 5 different versions of projectiles that they can use to get whatever they need done. One of the best supers in the game. I will argue this is one of the best wake up supers in the game. It's kind of like Ram's wake up super, a little bit slower, but the trade-off is it has a bigger hurt box, a slightly bigger hurt box. And staying state itself. You get, anytime you get this applied and use any type of normals, any type of hit, it doesn't matter if it's even dust, you basically get a free attack afterwards, hit or block. And either A, you can sting your combos with it, or B, you can maintain your block string with it. And that's it for the pros when it comes to this character, because the cons, the character is slow. They have some very slow normals that you're going to find niche situations to use them. Not niche, you're definitely going to use them, but it's just the timing of them is crazy. Every single last button is kind of slow in some type of way. Even air normals are a little bit slow. Okay, another thing, staying state. This right here, you have to apply it, and it's a 2-part application. Now, you could just raw crow. We'll get to it later. You could just raw crow. But it's easier if you use one of your other projectiles to get it applied. It's a little bit easier to do. So it is a 2-parter if some people don't like it. Also, this character is very honest, which you wouldn't think would be a con, but in a game like Gear Stive, where every single last character, even the trash characters like Bike and Jacko, has some very, very cheap stuff. Testament don't really got that. And you would think Testament is low tier. No, I think Testament is a good mid-tier character. But Testament doesn't have the cheap stuff to get around a lot of their matchups. So they have to play very honest. And to some people, that may be a con. And the very last thing, the character does not have certain disjoints on certain moves. And if you don't know what a disjoint is, it's just when your hurt box is not in an area that you would think it's supposed to be. For instance, if I was to go to Ram and do her slash has a disjoint to where if you hit it on the tip, you're not really hitting her, if that makes sense. So this character suffers from not having disjoints, and it actually hinders them because they are so slow. Now, with that being said, if you do choose to take this route, the character is still pretty decent. You can definitely get some things done with this character, and the character definitely have matchups that are in their favor. Just know the matchups that are not, you're going to have to put in a little bit of extra work. But, hey, still a fun character, still a good character to play. And now I want to talk about their normals. Alright, guys, so let's talk about the pokes. So, your main poke you're going to be using no matter what, and let me make sure I put the opponent on block. Make sure I go ahead and put them on block. All guard is 5K. 5K is going to be your main poking tool. It is a very solid tool. It is cancelable. But at this space, even if we go to round start, just taking a slight step, nice little pushback. It's a good way to check and make sure your opponent just isn't trying to walk up or run up and just do whatever they want. Same with 2K. 2K is another one. As you see, it's kind of like a Rams 2K with a little bit more range. A little bit slower, but a little bit better range. And this is really good for something like a soul vortex when soul likes to vortex and try to get around your fireball or get around your bird. It's a very good way to quickly check them and tell them, no, you're not going to do that. So I use these two tools a lot. Testament's jab is also really good. It is about a character and a half away. It's a good poking tool. And if you follow that up with 6p plus fireball, it's a good quick little block string. And look at the distance we get from that. So those are probably my main 3 tools that I use. I don't typically use 2p, and the reason why I don't use 2p that much is I'm only using it to get out. I'm literally only going to use it if I'm checking something. But other than that, I would literally just use 5p. But that's the pokes. Now let's talk about the slash and the heavy slash. Alright guys, so I want to talk about the slashes now. Now, it is very important that you're probably going to be using slash well more than heavy slash. And I know some people saying, well, that's kind of common on most characters. Yeah. But it's a reason why I say that heavy slashes have specific times that you want to use them. First, let's talk about close slash. Now, close slash is -2 on block. It has 8 frames startup and then 6 frames active. But if I put the opponent on throw, just say I put Ram on throw, and I try to press any button afterwards, you're probably going to get punished for it. So what do? This is a good time to know to cancel immediately. This is a good way, if I do it at the right time, to counter hit with a free Gravedigger, right? Also, this move, I'm going to show you 2 times because I might mess it up. It's a good anti-air, but it's a weird anti-air at the same time. So I put the opponent on jump, I take them off so they don't throw. It's a weird anti-air at the same time. Very good if you run up under, you can catch them. However, if I can get it, sometimes it'll mess up. Now I can't get it, but sometimes you can do it way too late, and there we go. Like, they don't jump into it. I know the animation shows it. See what I mean? How the animation shows it sometimes, and they can jump over it. Even if I let her come down a little bit, it wasn't hindering. So you have to be very careful using this as an anti-air. It's a very weird anti-air. It's not one of those that like it has a disjoint and it just keeps going and going. You have to be very careful of this anti-air. But Close Slash is a very, very good button just to go in, hit them real quick, get a free cancel if they press. It's a free counter hit, and then you can go into your staying state situation. But it's also if they try to jump in and you see it and you can run under them, it's a real easy counter hit to where you can get something like this. Just something real quick. Let's see. There you go. Just something like real quick to poke them out. Something real quick to just get some quick poke in. I'm not going to go into something very detailed because obviously it's a beginner guide. Now, Far Slash. Far Slash. Far Slash is probably one of your best tools in your kit. It is slow. It is a little bit slow at 13 frame startups and 20 frames of recovery. So it's very slow to recover. But again, -9 at this range, at max range. If you do a projectile, you can make the opponents guess if you're going to throw it up, or you're going to throw it straight at them, or they're going to hold it. It's a couple of things you can do. It's very good at keep out. Even at this range, it's very good at keeping your opponent out. They can't really walk forward because they're going to get smacked by it. But remember, like I said, this move does not have disjoints. Again, it does not have disjoints. So you can be 6P'd out this move just throwing it out willy-nilly. So it's very important to make your opponent at least guess that you're going to throw a fireball afterwards. And then even then, afterwards, you can probably throw 2 or 3 out, just making sure that you keep your opponent honest as long as this hit. But far slash is it's probably the most important normal you have to just keep people out. Now, let's talk about heavy slashes. This is 5 HS. It's still good. Not as much range as far S, as you can see, but I typically use this move in the corner just to make sure they stay honest and to avoid if somebody wants to randomly 6P my far slash. I typically will use this one real quick, especially if for like this range. So if I do something like I can do a follow-up. And it's a good way for Crow to hit too. Now this move is 13 frames on 13 frames, start up with 30 frames of recovery, and it's minus 13. So you have to be careful using that button. But it is a very good button, at least in the corner. Like I said, all your heavy slashes are going to have particular reasons to use them, which goes into this one, 2 HS. You see how slow this button is. I hate this button. It's only one reason you use this button in normal situations, and that is in particular if you have staying state up. Like if you have staying state up and you do something like that where you know you can't get hit. This button hits mid. It is not a low. It is not a low. The button hits mid. It has pretty good range. It has pretty good range, but it is super slow. And 9 times out of 10, if you get hit by that, either A, you were in corner pressure, you tried to walk up and you weren't paying attention that you just got hit by staying state, or B, you're just slow. So when are you going to really use it? As you've seen earlier, it's really just your main combo extender. It's really just your main combo filler. That's mainly when you're going to use this move. So you'll go something like that. And I'm just keeping it simple. It's your main pop-up. That's all. That's the only time I find a reason to do it. Or if I catch somebody jumping. Let's see. If you catch somebody jumping. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you catch somebody jumping. I'm sorry. That's the only time I personally use it. It's not really my forte to use that button at all, even if staying state is applied, because it is so slow. I'm too afraid that it might still get hit. And then last but not least is 6HS. Now this move I use far more than 2HS. Far more. I mainly use it in the corner. It's a good corner tool after you get Grave Digger. It's good if you know the spacing. It's a good way to cancel in the Crow for free. It's like 100% good way to cancel in the Crow or projectiles for free. If you're running, you get a little bit of an extra slide with it, so it can extend just slightly. Not extend the hitbox already what it is, but it can give off a little bit more range just with you running and slide. The thing is, it is mega slow. It is super slow, and it is very easy to punish that button. It is very easy to punish that button. So I wouldn't really throw it out in the neutral unless I know I'm gonna hit somebody. It is 25 frames to start up with 32 frames of recovery, and it's minus 19 on block. So you have, and I will say it again, you have to cancel this or you're going to get smacked in the face. But that is enough of those normals. Let's talk about the jumping normals. All right, so now when it comes to any jump ins, any jump attacks. You got your jump P. This is really an air-to-air, a quick air-to-air. Another good thing you can do if you drop down and immediately Gravedigger, preferably as Gravedigger, you can get a very low Gravedigger that hits. As you see, it hits weird. It doesn't hit like you would expect it to. So you just got to be extra weary of that. Jumping K, I don't typically use. You want to put your opponent in the staying state when you use this. Like, that's what I'm noticing. You kind of want to put your opponent in the staying state just to make yourself be safe. The problem with this move is, let's say I wanted to do a fireball after I hit. It continues to go the way I hit instead of just the way my opponent is. So it's a very weird normal. I tend not to use this out of all of them. I rarely use this unless I have staying state and it's I need to really teleport, kick you, and go as quickly as possible. But I tend not to use that button. You might. It's a little bit different, but hey, it is what it is. Jumping S, very good and air to air, good way to keep space. Also a very good combo extender in the air off of JD. So if I was to take this, no guard, jump, force. And that's just for quick damage. Very good conversion tool. And then your main one that you're probably going to use the most. The main one you're probably going to use about 60% of the time out of everything is going to be jump HS. It's going to be jump HS. This is a quick little jump in. It can go over. Typically you want to cancel as soon as you hit because from this range you can get tossed by your opponent, especially on block. So what I do is I immediately go into Gravedigger, and you'll learn you're going to cancel a lot with this character. So those are really the normals, and then you have Jumping Dust. Jumping Dust is a good way to get out of dodge. It's a good retreating air to air. So again, if I catch the opponent retreating, pressing a button, I press J Dust, hit them, immediately dash in for the 2HS or even, I mean not 2HS, the jump in S or even the jump in HS into Gravedigger. And yeah, cool beans. Jump ins aren't really that important in my opinion. They're good, but they're not that important. Just know for the most part you're going to be using Jumping Dust, Jumping Slash, well, Jumping HS, Jumping Slash, and Jumping Dust. Those are going to be the main three that you use. Because for the most part, you're going to be throwing projectiles. And speaking of projectiles, we can finally get to the specials. Now, I'm going to put specials and super all in one chapter. As y'all see, it's chaptered off. I'm going to put them all in one chapter because I don't want the video to be too long. All right. Let's talk about it. Staying state. Staying state is what Testament wants to apply. Here's the thing. While a lot of people will say it's the most important thing, I think it's kind of the second most important thing. And it's a reason why I'm saying that. But staying state. When you see an aura over your opponent, they are now in staying state. And like I said earlier, if I touch them, I get a free hit into damage. Alright. So staying state is a very important move. Now, most of it is trigger only off of normal, so you can even do it dust. And the dust combos are kind of sick. I can't do them, but they're kind of sick. But let's say I'll throw a Gravedigger, I can't set it off. Now, another property to this is, let's say I put the opponent on block, right? Well, I can't, but you can be hit out of staying state. So it lasts for about 5 to 10 seconds. I say around 5 to 7. 10 is too much. 5 to 7 seconds. If your opponent hits you at any point in time, staying state is going. You have to reapply it. And that's where that con earlier that I said staying state is kind of a hassle because it doesn't stay. So you have to be very good at applying it. How do I apply it, Nappy? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Let's take our opponent off of freely having it. And that's what we get to Crow. Now, we're going to talk about Gravedigger and Crow both together because these are, in my opinion, the most important specials you have. Gravedigger, you basically put your scythe in the ground and they call up a little skull or whatever this is, and it goes flying. As you see, there's a familiar there, or a fairy, whatever you want to call it. No matter which way I do it, I can do HS, which goes diagonally in the air. I can do slash, which goes straight on the ground. I can do jump S, which goes straight across the air, and I can do jump S, which goes straight across the ground. Notice these are dragging because I am holding it. If I don't hold the button, it just instantly bursts away. So, very good tool. Probably Testament's best special move. You're going to be throwing these out a lot. This is the main zoning game plan right here. Now, once those familiars are out, like I said earlier, now we have Crow. Now, Testament throws their little pet or wherever this is across the screen. And wherever the familiar is where the Crow goes. So if I have it in the air, we're going to throw the Crow. Now, the caveat to that is if I just throw it, it doesn't go. So if I want to apply a stain state like this, I have to wait for it to come back, not let it go up, and throw the Crow again. Which, that's a hassle. That is a hassle to do. So, what you're mainly going to do, you're going to be throwing a lot of projectiles. You're going to want to know your opponent. Basically, a string will look something like this. Something like this. Let me make sure the opponent is on block. A regular boss string would be something like this. So, boom, 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 boom. Something like that. And that's just to make sure that you can apply stain state. Now, Crow obviously can be jumped over, but for some reason, it's kind of depending on the range. A lot of people don't jump over it. Also, another application is the closer you are, the more Gravedigger hits. So you either get 2 hits, or if I'm further back, I can get 1 hit. Now, little cheeky thing on Oki. If I throw somebody and I throw it immediately, they gotta hold that second hit. If they don't hold that second hit, they're getting hit. So if I was to take the opponent off a block, let's say she didn't hold, she went to press a button. See what I mean? And you get a free meaty. It's a free meaty if you do not block that second hit. So just to keep that in your head. Now, when it comes to stain state and it comes back to that Crow, you're gonna, a lot of times, you're gonna find yourself, if you do a big combo, so you're gonna find yourself throwing the Crow. Because when the wall breaks, now the opponent is in stain state. So you're going to find yourself a lot of time trying to apply stain state no matter what, because it is an essential part of your game. If you want to maintain block stream, if you want an extra hit on anytime you hit somebody with a normal, that's where a lot of your damage is going to come from, is applying stain state. While it is important, without Gravedigger and without Crow, it's not going to matter if you're trying to apply it. You're just gonna be playing the game on hard mode. Now, with that being said, the next special is Arbiter Sign. Now, as you saw, Arbiter Sign is an exception to you having to actually hit with the scythe. Once you apply stain state, Arbiter Sign either can hit low or it can hit overhead. Now, it's a very sluggish move. In fact, it only comes out about 75%. So we're at max range. This is about 75% of the screen. It takes up 75% of the screen. It is a good way if your opponent is sitting there blocking a lot to try to open them up. if you have the meter to cancel out of it, just to play safe. So it's a good way just to check and keep them on their toes, especially once you have it set up that you want to throw the bird. It's a good way to get that off. But I find myself using this far less in the neutral and more in combo stream. So this is also a very good combo ender. It is a very good combo ender if you want to go that route. So something like, let's just, hold on. A good way to end the combo. A very good way to end the combo. So really, Arbiter Sign is very, and the hitbox is the mouth, so they can sometimes run past it. So you gotta also be aware of that. If again you want to use this somewhere right here, because if you're using it too close, you will get punished. I think it's like minus 20. It's very minus. So you have to be extra careful of throwing that, just throwing it out. It's minus 21. I was close for both of them. And the starter frames is 24 and 28 respectively. So you have to be very careful with throwing this move out. I mainly use it once you establish your pressure with Crow and with Grave Digger, especially with Crow, just to make sure they stay honest. Again, if you catch them in the corner with it, you do get a combo because it does activate Stain State. So overall, a very slow move that you'll use, but you won't use as much. And then finally, for the final special, we're talking about Teleport. Now, Teleport is nothing when you're standing there. You can also hold it just to delay it a little bit. But once you get Grave Digger out, you get the Familiar out, you're going to teleport to where the Familiar is. And as you see, I can instantly throw. So there's a couple of things you can do. If I throw the Familiar out and I hold it, I stay in place. Right? There's a couple of tricks you can do. I mainly do this once I have Crow established. It's also good to do in the corner. You wouldn't think it. You wouldn't think it would be good to do in the corner. It's a good way to get them in the throw loop if you don't think they're going to press. And then again, you can get them to the point where they just take that second hit. And you can start faking people out. You can start tossing them, throwing them, teleport, making them think, just walking forward. The teleport is very good on the ground. Now, aerial, I don't like it. The aerial one, I per se do not like because it tends to get you in trouble a lot. It's a good way to get out of pressure. And then depending on certain supers, let me see if I can hit it one time. If I can't, I'll just cut into the one I hit it, but we'll see. But for certain supers, if I put it on after recovery, you can just super around it. It's a good invincible tool. It is invincible, I believe, between frame 1 and, let's see, complete air momentum. I'm looking. It's a certain frame that is completely invincible. So you can use it. It's probably between like frame 2 to 8 or something like that. It's a good way if you think your opponent's going to wake up super. Just go ahead and teleport and use the invincibility, I was saying it right. Invincibility against them. And then last but not least are the supers. Now, this one is probably going to be your go-to. This one right here is going to be Calamity. Calamity 1 is going to be your go-to. Now, it is minus 67 on block. It is very, very negative. It's a whole second and some change negative. However, it is invincible between frames 1 and 19. And if they jump, it gets some very good pushback. But let's say they block and you have full RC meter, you do have a good chance to get out of it. So let's say they You can't RC it. And even sometimes if you have the meter for it, you can combo after it. So it's a very good tool just to, if your opponent is being way too aggressive and you see an opening and you know it's an opening, just to throw it out there, you're probably going to get a good hit. It is 11 frames startup plus 4 in certain situations, so it can be between 11 to 15 frames of startup depending on the situation. It is active for 5 frames. Just the recovery on it is crazy. 67 frames of recovery while being minus 67 on block is very bad. But the hitbox on this thing is actually really good. So, I would throw it out. Combo enters, wake up supers if you want to be cheeky and do a wake up super. If you see a quick gap and you want to get some quick damage in, the damage is 143, so you get automatically 143 damage off the rip, which is not bad at all. Yeah. And then last but not least, we want to throw out the twins. I don't like the twins, but they are another way to apply stain state. As you see, the slow startup, your opponent can actually hit you during this. They're going to still get hit, don't get it wrong. But they can still hit you. So in a close situation, I wouldn't really throw these out. But as you see, it's another way to apply stain state. It's a good way to break the wall because you can react afterwards. You can react afterwards no matter what. So it's a quick, easy way to get a quick 4 hit, and they still get the stain state because the fourth hit is them knocking you off the wall. Overall, it's an okay special. I don't really have too much to talk about that special because I don't too much like it. I don't personally use it. But again, you could use it more than I do, and it's another way to apply stain state. But other than that, I think we've broken down the characters as much as we can. We gave you a very simple beginner's guide. If the guide does well, I don't know how good this guide would do. Some people may say I need to tweak some things, and I will tweak them if you guys put it in the comments. But we'll definitely do some more advanced things as it comes. I'll pull some content and show some things off. Showed a couple of things here and there, but hopefully you guys like this beginner guide to Testament. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. If there's anything more I can do, let me know, and I'm out. Peace.